What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing Melbourne versus Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. Port getting the job done by 25 points in a very exhilarating game of football. A game that was very ebbing and flowing early on. One that was very, very intriguing. And the D's obviously not kicking straight, and Port Adelaide did kick straight. 14-9-93 to 9-14-68, which was predominantly the telling point. I still feel like Port Adelaide were the better side across the day. We were probably dominated a little bit against with our clearances and our midfield work, but besides that, right across the board, I thought our transition play was beautiful. I thought the way we were able to move the ball was actually really exciting. There was a lot of chains of handballs, but it was a good mix of short passes and the 45s and everything like that. So it was a very, very prominent game of footy, and one that I think I generally had one of the better times watching us. I thought the grit and grind win against the Giants was one that I was really telling. It was one that, all right, we can win hard, we can win ugly and get the job done. And now you come against the D's and it's like, well, they're in form. I know they lost to the Saints in Alice, but they came really close to beating the Pies, and before that they were on a very, very good hot run as well. So, and they've got the caliber: Gawn, Petrarca, Oliver. These players stand up in moments. Cozzy Pickett was phenomenal for them today, and his second half was nowhere near as impactful because at the contest, Rosie was going to him, Butters was in Viney's ear, and they just stood up, our boys. And our leadership since the break, has been really, really impressive, in my opinion. I think the way we've been able to create a good tempo around the footy, being able to slow play down, but then also being able to pull the trigger, to be able to go quick. And that's been the real exciting part about this whole thing, is just the way we've been able to maneuver the ball has been a really big change, in my opinion, and I love it. I know today, there's so many standouts today. Talk about Mitch Georgiades, 7 goals, he kicked 7-4, I believe, and he could have had 9 or 10. They're very easy, gettable ones, a couple of them as well. He could have had a big total, but 7 goals, his career high, and it's the first time anyone as a forward has kicked 7 goals or more for Port Adelaide in over a decade, which is unbelievable. Since Jay Schultz, which is pretty crazy to me. So that's such an impressive feat. He was phenomenal today, especially with a different look forward line. I know we kept it quite open. Rioli was a target. I know Jordan Sweet played a lot of forward. We had players manoeuvring through there. Horn Francis was a target early on before he got going, and he was phenomenal. He had 3 behinds. It's funny. Georgiades kicked 7 goals, 4, which is predominantly half our score. Horn Francis kicked 3 behinds, and everyone else was just accurate. Darcy Ben Jones, accurate, kicked a couple of goals. Rioli, from that beautiful set play, from the transition of Connor Rosie cutting off what looked to be a certain goal. I'll talk about him in a second, but to do that transition, circle work as BT described it, and to end up kicking a goal is phenomenal. And I'm really, really impressed with how just the team played in general. We had a lot of the footy. We had roughly 30 more disposals across the day. We were more efficient, going inside 56% compared to 46. Disposal efficiency, we were a lot better with it. I guess with coming up against the D's, it's like they're the benchmark for being the worst at being efficient. With kicking a fair amount of behinds, they're notorious for it. I think that's something we go, all right, well, if we kick straight, then we're beating the D's. It's a lock. They'll rubber the green a little bit with the free kicks, but I thought that our competitive work around the stoppages was really, really good. I mentioned centre clearances, we lost 9-11. Stoppage clearances, we got beaten 26-23. Clearances overall was a -5, with hit outs being a -3. And I know the clearance work didn't really work in our favour, but a lot of their clearances were just hack balls long, whereas ours, I thought, were articulated a little bit better. There was a few handball chains, there was a few manoeuvres, quick hands, and also a combination of that, and also bombing it out of the contest. But this was provided really nicely. I thought Jordan Sweet and Dante Vicentini's role. I know Gorn was good, but he wasn't great. He wasn't impactful, I don't think, and he was really, you could tell he was up against it. And I thought these two were really, really well structured in terms of their rucking ability. They were really, really handy around the ground. Dante's presence, I thought, was really, really good in the contest. Jordan Sweet was able to provide good aerial coverage and really be able to really be able to help out around the ground, which was really, really impressive. I thought, when we had the footy, we were very dominant, uncontestedly. We led that by 42 across the day, and I thought, our ability to keep the ball off of the Ds was very impressive. Once it got into the contest, it was a little bit more, that we talk about the disposal efficiency. There the hat kicks out of the contest, they were getting those quick hands and just being able to get it long, and that's where Asava's first half was phenomenal. He had 8 intercept marks for the day and 7 in the first half. It's unbelievable to see the turnaround Asava Radicali has had. He has been influential in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I know he was out with a hamstring against the Dockers, and it just shows these players are crucial. They're integral, and he has been arguably our best defender all year. I think when he's had his opportunity, he just takes it. Now he looks settled, he looks comfortable, he looks happy, and whilst our backline can still make dumb decisions from time to time, he's definitely taken the next step. And with Aaliyah potentially missing a couple of games with his knee, I think there's every opportunity for Asava to be a dominant force down back for us. And he was the cherry on top for what was a productively fantastic day for the whole team today. If you're a Port Adelaide fan, you're coming out of that, I would be very, very impressed and very happy with the result. I would be over the moon with the performances of Horn Francis coming back from injury. Rosie and Butters stood up. The big three did fantastically well. Bergman in the middle I thought was phenomenal. Manny Liddy, his first game for the club and coming off a mid-season draft and playing one game last week and coming in, and I thought he looked right at home. I couldn't tell the difference between him, Bergman, or Horn Francis, but it took until the sleeve actually showed up that I could tell the difference. But yeah, I thought he was phenomenal. His ability to create a one-on-one contest and really be able to dominate around the ground. I thought he bettered his opponent, to be honest. He was definitely better, especially in the first half. I thought he was really, really, really impressive, Liddy. So very well done. Jace Burgoyne, he was phenomenal. Ryan Burton, whilst Birdo has lows on the footy field, definitely has lows. He has one of his better games in a while today, I thought. His penetration kick, his positioning around the ground was really, really good. His awareness needs to be a bit of a working, but other than that, he was okay. And right across the board, I thought we were just really strong. If I'm honest, I think there's one change next week. If Valia comes out, then there's probably 2, but Jackson Mead probably comes out for Boak. I think that works a little bit better. I think Boak has the ability to find the ball a bit more, and Mead's awareness around the ground has lacked a little bit, and I can see that with a few others. Other fans were stating it. But yeah, otherwise everyone else I thought was really impressive. Hugh Jackson was a very useful sub for 10 minutes. But yeah, otherwise everyone else played a role today. There was no passengers today. Everyone contributed, everyone had a part, and everyone helped Port Adelaide get to 6 and 7. And now we are in striking distance. We're 2 games out of the 8. We need to win the next couple of games against the Swans at home and Carlton at home, and that'll open up. We'll see what we can bring. But for now, 1 week at a time. It's good to just feel happy about a win, because I'm very, very pleased with today. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. Obviously, a fantastic win at home in front of 30,000. It was very cold, but it was very happy, very noisy crowd, and it was very nice to be able to get the dub. And I'm just soaking these in, because I know the transition of Ken to Josh Carr at the end of the year is coming, and we had a shit start to the year. So getting a couple of nice, good wins on the back-to-back since the bye. We're undefeated in June. So, happy days. But thank you very much for watching. My name's Anthony. And as always, count the pair.